The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back to another episode of HBCU Hour. It's your boy Pooh Bear. And my man, I will ask y'all to say a prayer for my man Ant tonight. He's taking care of some family business, but we gonna hold it down without him. We do got a special guest in the building. We gonna bring him up, talk some football. But first, man, we gotta take care of some things on our end, man. We gotta talk a little baseball, man. I know season over with. For the most part, well, season is over with for HBCU baseball. But man, we got to shout out to FAMU again for what they did, not only in the SWAC tournament, but also holding it down in the NCAA tournament. Again, like we said on Monday, the results weren't what we wanted, but they definitely did a lot to make us proud. So much so, they were named today by the Black College Nines as the D1 HBCU national champions in baseball. Congratulations to them. Hand claps. All right. Also, man, we know with the coach Carrick Jackson leaving Memphis and heading to Missouri that there's an opening. Well, Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball, one of the most renowned scouts, has actually made a suggestion. He made a suggestion that maybe Memphis should look at another HBCU coach to take the reins. And that coach is none other than Jackson State's Omar Johnson. Y'all know my favorite saying, Omar coming. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so that was who he suggested, and we already talked about that pipeline coming from HBCUs to going to, I guess you could say, predominantly white colleges. That is something that is looks like is in the works. Also staying in the SWAC, Grambling's own Davin Pierre, head coach of the Grambling Tigers. He was named to the USA under 16 and under 17 development program staff. He'll be working with those young men for the USA national team. So good for him. Looking forward to seeing him use those tools to help build not only his program, but to continue to get better. Also, we have another HBCU baseball team coming. We know we had Dillard start up their team. Also, Wilberforce start up their team. Looks like Lincoln University in Missouri, they're going to restart their program after 7 years. They last played a game in 2016. They are decided to come back, and they've already named their head coach. They have named Grant Reynolds of Albany State. He's the assistant coach with Albany State. He is now the new head coach for Lincoln University in Missouri. Lincoln also, they didn't stop there with baseball. They are also adding or starting men's and women's soccer program. So that's where we at, man. HBCUs are on the rise, continue to grow and continue to do good things. But we know what y'all here for. So we're going to go ahead and get to it. But before we do, man, we got to give a shout out to our sponsors over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We'll be back in 1 minute. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Ladies and gentlemen, bringing to HBCU Hour, our good man from the Lace Up Podcast Network. He's a HBCU football analyst. And what that means, yeah, he do his homework. He don't just be talking out his behind. I know some of y'all think that. But that's all right, man. We got our man with us tonight, Mr. Kelly Flicks. Welcome to HBCU Hour. Thank you for joining us, man. How you doing tonight?
Yeah. I'm great, man. What's the deal? Really great to be on this podcast. Let's get it on.
Let's go. First off, man, tell us about you. You know what I'm saying? Your show. You know what I'm saying? Lace Up. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so on the Lace Up Podcast Network, I have a show, HBCU Flicks. Started about just over a month ago, and it comes on every Monday. And on that show is strictly HBCU football. So, like this past week, we've talked about the HBCU national schedule as far as football goes. We've also talked about different transfer portal moves, and of course, my way too early top 10.
Yeah. Now I'll say this. I don't know who had it worse. I don't know if people jumped all over your list or when we came out with our top 10 quarterbacks. I don't know who caught it worse, but man, monumental task. When you go into making your predictions, or I say predictions, you're way too early. What were some of the things you looked at?
Yeah, when it comes to making a way too early list, in my opinion, you gotta take a look at the recruiting season and what those two cycles meant to every team. You know, a lot of people have people leaving. Some people have a lot of players coming in. And that really makes a difference when you talk about looking at a team and how good they're going to be in the fall. You know, you're just adding more and more players during that recruiting period. Another thing is coaching. You know, we saw a lot of different coaching changes. We saw coordinator moves, defensive coordinators, like you can even take, for example, one of the co-defensive coordinator for Alcorn State moves on to Jackson State. You know, things like that you got to take into mind when making a way too early list. It's not really specifically so roster centered, but it's also about the program and what the state of the program is in the spring.
Yeah. Let me ask this. Who is somebody who, I guess, you know, when you start looking at your list, somebody who surprised you and you thought, you know, since as you started looking, it was like, you know what, this team might be since somebody a little bit better than I thought they would be.
Yeah, well, I would say had to be Alcorn State. One of the teams I was most hesitant on was Howard, without a doubt. And the more you look at Howard's offense, the more you really want to believe it. But the team that I was really surprised about was Alcorn. I really thought about Alcorn and their lineage of greatness and going to Celebration Bowls. And I thought about, wow, how this could be another year like that for them if it all comes together.
Right. So, man, let's jump into it, man. Let's talk. We did another. I guess we didn't learn our lesson. We did another list. This time, though, we actually let the people speak. We did a top 10 HBCU football programs. And let me see. Let me go ahead and post it up here so everyone. Because I'm gonna start with the honorable mentions. And in the honorable mentions, we had at number 11 we had Prairie View. At number 12 we had Tennessee State. 13 Tuskegee.
Shout out to Tuskegee.
Yeah, 14. Tied at 14 was Bowie State. Bowie State, Howard, Morehouse, and Virginia State. Tied at 18 was Bethune-Cookman, Benedict College, Hampton, Miles, Mississippi Valley State. That one surprised me. Morgan State and Norfolk State. Now, before I jump into the top 10, the first thing I want to say, we did not me and Ant, my co-host, we did not sit down and make this list ourselves. We created, and you saw, because we sent you, you know what I'm saying, as well to vote on it.
I put my vote in. I definitely did.
Basically what we did was we said we're going to look at who we need someone, you know, some people to put in your top 10. I'm sorry, not even top 10, put in your top 5 programs, HBCU football programs.
Yep.
Then give us an honorable mention. And if there's something else you want to say, go, you know what I'm saying, say it, you know. And so that's kind of what we how we went with it. From there, we took everybody's answers and we compiled them and tallied them up, and that's how we got to, you know, who's in, you know what I'm saying, 1 through 10 and so forth and so forth. And honorable mentions. So that's
can we talk about these? Can we talk about these honorable mentions real quick, man?
Let's go.
The SIACME, you know what I mean? My pops went to Morehouse. So the SIACME really is kind of hurting watching Morehouse be in front of Benedict after they were the best team in Division II football HBCU. It's really hurting me.
Hello.
See Morehouse at 14 and Benedict at 18, tied with Mississippi Valley and Hampton. That one hurt. But then Tuskegee at 13. I thought that was the most interesting because that is the highest any Division II HBCU is on this list. You know what I mean? So they are looked at as one of the best Division II HBCU. So I mean, as much as it hurts them not to be in the top 10, them being on the outside looking in, but still being the top Division II shows and proves a point that Tuskegee is still Tuskegee.
Yeah. I do want to say this. If I had my choice, Tuskegee would definitely be in that top 10. They are the winningest HBCU football program in history. Also, Tuskegee, a lot of teams that's in the top 10, Tuskegee has a winning record against them, despite them being a Division II, especially when you look at the last 20 years. Shout out to my guy, D2 HBCU football, because he always points that out. So they do have a winning record against a lot of those teams in the top 10. But I think because some of the criteria, what hurts Tuskegee, they are D2. Their facilities in the past have not necessarily been what they probably could be. They don't have lights. Everybody throws it. That's the first insult. They ain't got lights. So I think some of that is the reason why a lot of people didn't think about them in that position, you know what I'm saying, to be in the top 10, but they definitely in my top 10.
Yes, I mean, because even just looking at facilities, right? I haven't been to Tuskegee, so, you know what I mean, I can't vouch for them too hard. I ain't going to stick my neck all the way out there, but even seeing Tuskegee in their new field and their new stadium, it looks great. They were able to fit 38,000 people inside that stadium in the last home game of the season. So what Tuskegee has football-wise is special, and it's Division I level special in a Division II space. So I think what Tuskegee has, I mean, this year and the next year are really going to show like what they can do. You know what I mean? As far as a football program and their brand, this is like the new Tuskegee now.
Big facts. I've seen some of the inside looks of like the training room. I've seen, you know, some of the plans of what they want to do with some of the other spaces they have. Tuskegee is a beautiful place. And like you said, it's D1 football in a D2 space. But I do think, like I said, that's my only gripe about the list. But again, it wasn't my list. Well, yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. The survey.
It was the survey.
But let's get into this top 10.
Let's look at the top 10. Bam, and here you go. I guess we start from the bottom. Tied at 9th, Alabama A&M and South Carolina State.
Surprising.
Very, very surprising. Tied at 5th, and this is where a lot of people kind of had a problem. At 5th, you had Alabama State, Alcorn State, North Carolina A&T, and North Carolina Central. Some of the biggest gripes I had were North Carolina A&T should be higher, and I can understand that, but that's not what people chose. But then number 4, you got Southern. Number 3, you got Grambling, and I can see Grambling being number 1 with their rich tradition and history. I could see them being number 1 because this wasn't like a today, you know, type thing. This was a, you know, saying throughout time. So I can see that. But Grambling was 3, Jackson State was 2, and Florida A&M was number 1. Now, I can say I was not surprised that Florida A&M was number 1 because I know a lot of people, that's kind of, one of the names that will pop up.
I mean, if you think about it from a branding perspective, Florida A&M is definitely one of the most notable HBCUs outside of the HBCU spectrum. LeBron James being tied to them, the Nike combination, the color tones, where they are in Florida. A lot about FAMU translates into a national audience. And I think that's kind of what got them this rank in the survey. I think FAMU is one of those teams that you can use as a showcase for HBCU football, right? That's a team that you would throw onto a showcase game just because of not only their coaching style and their players, how they look. You look at the jerseys, you know what I mean? You look at the cleats, you can go to Bragg and check it out, the whole atmosphere of the game, the marching 100, it's a little different. So I can see them being number 1, but man, I mean, I kind of said something about South Carolina State earlier. But I think South Carolina State, this might be the facilities. When you talk about Alabama State and you talk about South Carolina State, you're like, well, what's the big difference? Well, the facilities is a very big difference, right?
Yeah.
So as well as South Carolina State has played the past couple of years and they're so competitive, it kind of hurts me to see them so low because they've been winning games. And you see like Alcorn State, they've been winning games. They don't have the greatest stadium, but they've been winning games. So it kind of hurts to see them down there, but kind of is what it is, survey.
When you think about South Carolina State, the first thing I think about is all the draft picks that they've had.
Right.
Oh man. Then you think about Buddy Pugh and the legend of a man that he is, of a coach. So those are the first things. So I agree. I probably, but it's kind of hard to look at this and say, okay, I will move. Now, I can look at these and some teams, I will say, okay, I can move them up and I can see them sliding down. I'm surprised Alcorn State is in the top 10. Now,
hey,
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be. I was just shocked that a lot of people, looked at them and put them that high. Jackson State, I figured they would be up there because a lot of people are going to point to the recent success, but you also have to look at, the Hall of Famers they have. I shout out to, hey, 251 Robert Brazil, Hall of Famer. You got to look at Walter Payton, Hall of Famer. You got to look at overall, the program that Jackson State is, it didn't just start with Deion. So it's I have no problem with them being top 5. Like I said, Grambling, I thought they would be number 1 because the first thing you think, Eddie Robinson, all those winning traditions, all the Hall of Famers there as well. So,
right. Jackson State really to me is like 1A, 1B with Florida A&M. I think Jackson State outside of the South, bro, Jackson State rings bells. Like if you out here and you talk about HBCU, somebody say Jackson State, they're like, who? You know what I mean? It turns heads just off of the prime effect and what they've been doing recently. So yeah, Jackson State at 2. I don't hate it, but if they were tied at 1, it would make a little more sense to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this so we can. Oh, it ain't let me do it. It won't let me do it like that. I was trying to get it so we had rankings up there and the, see us. But yeah, gotcha. Man. But yeah, man, I thought it, I actually, I enjoyed that one, right. As far as where those guys landed.
Right. Central was probably the most surprising for me in this top 10. Mm-hmm. Just, I know they won the Celebration Bowl last year, but previous to that, it wasn't much buzz coming out of Central. We got to be real about that. Player-wise, winning, all that. They recently moved up from D2 to D1 in like the last 10 years, but it hasn't been much buzz until last year. So that just kind of shows what success will get you, man. It gets you on this list, and I think that happened for Alcorn also. Just success in the Celebration Bowl. Correct. Gives you a bump in this top 10 football programs list.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's talk about the other list now.
There we go.
Let's talk about your list. Let me see. I don't have. Do I? Oh, there we go. Here we go. Let's get it.
Which one? Go ahead. pretty sure I sent you both of them from the year previous too, because I really want to let the record reflect.
Yeah, this is so I got, let's see, 2022. I don't have this year's, but
no. Nothing. There you go. Just sent it to you. And that one has HBCU Nightly's records on there too.
Gotcha.
And before we get into this, man, I will say I'm not putting out any record predictions until about 2 weeks before the season. After Swag Media Day, Media Days, I'm not putting out any predictions. And I haven't put out any predictions. I wasn't on the HBCU Nightly panel that night when they went through and picked wins and losses. I was not on there.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because people were like, how did they even pick these? You know, I don't, you know, it was actually really like fair. I mean,
yeah, listening to it, right? It was really open. They picked out of 11 people.
Yeah,
they went game by game. It was a very interesting way to do it, but very good barbershop talk.
Trying to figure out the best way to do this. Hold on, this is what I do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, if I save as, then I could put it on here and go do it that way. I'll do that. Boom. Boom. Now it's hard when you're trying to do this on, and you don't know. Hey, when you're not the home team, it's
right.
It's hard to do some of these things. Where is it now?
All right, yeah, but this, I mean, this top 10, this one, I dropped this down back in May 18th. You know what I mean? So this one at this point is almost a month old. But what I really took with this making way too early rankings, it's about kind of projecting from a long range view on how the season could go based on how the spring has gone so far. You know, after our spring game, after 2 recruiting cycles, what these teams look like or could look like going into the fall. You know, it's one thing for a team to look like some going to the summer, but when you go into the fall and get to training camp, that's when you know exactly what your roster is going to look like. You get a good idea of quarterback battles. But back here in the spring, you're just kind of projecting, you know what I mean? So all these rankings, this isn't based off really a win-loss type of thing. This is more based on how well they've been doing in the spring, whether they've been recruiting well, not recruiting well, coaching changes, program changes, and really administrative changes too in the athletic departments. That affects a lot. We saw that with Florida A&M last year.
All right, here we go. This is last year. I don't know if the people can really see that, but there we go. You got Jackson State number 1. You had South Carolina State at number 2. You had Southern at 3. Wow. You had A&T at 4. You had FAMU at 5. You had Grambling at 6. Tennessee State at 7. You had
Delaware State
at 8, A&M at 9, and North Carolina Central at 10.
Yep.
So now, with that being said, the top 2 teams in the SWAC, technically FAMU was the top 2 team, but the East and West, you had both of those picked right.
Right.
Correct. South Carolina State just wasn't who we thought they were going to be. And A&T also, you know, saying did not fare well in the Big South last year. So.
Well, no, they played for the championship game against Gardner-Webb in the last game. They ended up with a 7-4 record, but they were just tied to go. They had to win that game to go to the win the championship and you know, playing the playoffs. So they were actually kind of close. But like you're saying, you know, this way too early rankings, it's a crapshoot. It's a real crapshoot. As good as South Carolina State looked with Shaq Davis and Corey Fields and everybody, it just didn't happen.
Yeah. Now let's look at this year.
All right.
This year's way too early. You got Central, and ladies and gentlemen, those predictions next to them are the predictions from HBCU Nightly, not necessarily Kelly's. You know what I'm saying? Predictions. But he got North Carolina Central at 1, FAMU at 2, Tennessee State at 3, Howard at 4, Alcorn at 5, Prairie View at 6, Jackson State at 7, Morgan State at 8, Southern at 9, and A&M at 10. So, And then looking kind of, I guess, how it matches up. The only one that's not, I guess, in line with what everybody was thinking is what is that Howard and Morgan State looks like.
Yeah. Those are the two outliers. And one thing I will say too about even thinking about these HBCU Nightly record predictions is like when you're trying to win the MEAC or the SWAC, you don't necessarily have to win 10 games. You could kind of win the conference with 6 wins or 7 wins. You don't necessarily need 8 or 9 in most years. We saw last year how Southern made it to the SWAC championship last year, and they were like 7-4. So, it all kind of depends based on what the other teams in the conference do, how well you have to play.
Right. That's actually very fair. I'm trying to think. When you saw the predictions from HBCU Nightly, and kind of compared them, because I know you posted and was like, hey, obviously, saying everybody's
everybody can't be tripping.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly.
everybody can't be tripping. Really in talking about that, it's more about understanding it's a community of us, you know what I mean? All of us that are putting in this work, we looking things up, we're talking to each other behind the scenes, trying to figure out who should be where, what players are playing, just to, give the people the right news and also give the most exposure to these players, you know what I mean? So just a lot of the times when I'm going through a lot of my work, I want to post it to show people and give exposure to teams and also to show people what can go on during the season, what we're looking like in the fall. I would hate for people to come in with different expectations, especially if you have like a first-year head coach or something. I think those type of expectations have to be tempered. And, not to say I'm trying to make people do something, but I would like people to understand my perspective as a perspective coming with a lot of education on the sport.
Yeah. So, and this is I'm gonna kind of tie in something that happened on the historically white institution side. Last year, LSU had brand new head coach in Brian Kelly. Miami had it wasn't brand new, but new to the school. Miami had new to the school. What's my guy name? Came from Oregon. Cristobal. Miami fans and LSU fans there was a space Miami fans came into it. And LSU fans said to the Miami fans, hey, not trying to be rude or something. We've kind of been through this a few times, especially y'all got a new coach in your area. I just want you to know, hey, your ceiling, not your ceiling, your floor is 6-6. And they went, oh man, we going 12-0. Going 12-0. Like, listen, we're not trying to be funny. It's like, well, what's the LSU flow? It's like, look, we've gone 500 the last few seasons. I think 500 is our floor, considering that we got a better coach, but we'll see. We're not expecting to go 12-0. It'd be nice, but we're not expecting.
Right.
Same situation here, people. We understand what your team has done in the past. Because another argument I heard was Jack from Jackson State fans saying we just won back-to-back SWAC championships. I get it, understandable. You got a brand new head coach. It's not going to be as easy as you think it is. Not saying TC is going to. Again, I think TC is going to do a hell of a job. I really think he's going to be better than a lot of people think. He's got experience. He's coached in the Celebration Bowl. So on multiple occasions. So
yeah. And I think Jackson State's going to be competitive this year. I think when it comes down to the football season, when it goes week to week, people still don't want to play Jackson State. We got to be real. They set a precedent in the SWAC that's different than any other team. They are a team that's going to hit you in the mouth, continue to hit you in the mouth, and then go over the top. So say it takes some stamina. You got to play all 4 quarters with them. And I think Coach T.C. Taylor, what he's going to at least keep with this team is that same philosophy of we're going to fight for all 48 minutes for this game. You know what I mean? We're going to play the whole game. And that's what Jackson State did. We saw that with Grambling. Grambling hopped on them early last year. But I think the dichotomy of a Jackson State team, a good Jackson State team, is not giving up, keeping your foot on the gas. And T.C. Taylor being an alum, I think he's going to bring some of that with him this year. So now, like you said, being a first-year head coach is difficult. You know, you're going to maneuver differently than any other head coach in your league. You have to understand how to maneuver week to week. Different things happen, of course, within the team and within your coaching staff that you have to manage and maintain. And we saw Coach Prime last year took the CEO approach, and he really showed and gave like a blueprint of how to run the CEO approach, not being a coordinator, offense or defense, watching over the team and having a very good idea of the emotion of the team. We even saw that in his first year when he wasn't even a coach. He was in the hospital for 5 weeks of the season, and he still was emotionally tied to the team. And when he came to the game, when they went to Southern and played, the team reacted to him. And that's what a good CEO head coach can do. He touches his players.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to, man. It's got to be Jackson State, and I'm trying to be careful because I know a lot of times when you say something about Jackson State, they take it as a slight, take it as a disrespect. No disrespect, but Jackson State is not going to go in and out talent every team anymore. Well, right now, this year is all about, and I'm telling people, everybody, and we talked about it before the show, it's all about revenge. Revenge is on everybody's mind, and they think they're going to see Jackson State, no matter if it's true or not, they're going to see Jackson State is weaker, and they're going to attack. So
yeah. Now they're coming. It's you know, when you're the king of the hill, everybody wants to knock you off, you know, and at first they have to prove that they can knock you off the hill, right? Everybody's 0-0, regardless of how Jackson State plays against South Carolina State. When they play FAMU the first week of the season, they're both 0-0 in the SWAC. Both teams have a chance to win the SWAC, and that I think FAMU's gonna put everything on the line. I think Jackson State will too. Now, I think what's really gonna be the difference in Jackson State's year this year is how fast this offense or their quarterback, whoever the quarterback is gonna be, can catch on to Coach Maurice Harris's offense. His offense, he runs a great offense. He comes from Liberty. What he did at Liberty was it's a little amazing offensively because you have so many different weapons that you can use, gadget players, whether it be even your quarterback. Malik Willis was used kind of as a gadget player at times. DeMario Douglas out there, a lot of their running backs, the speed that they played with put other teams on their heels the entire game, you know, kind of similar to what we saw from Coach Doug Bartoloni last year. So if this Jackson State can really take in this offense, absorb it, and make sure that at least 90% to 95% of the 11 players on the offense side of the ball are running the correct play, Jackson State's going to be scary.
Yeah. Now, I want to flip for a minute. Other team who a lot of people think is going to win the SWAC, FAMU. FAMU has got, this is I don't know if this is a necessarily quote unquote make or break season, but a lot of people have been kind of pointing the finger at Coach Willie Simmons and saying, "Hey, when are you gonna get it done? This year has got to be the year." I think in the first two seasons in the SWAC, FAMU had they were a penalty away from possibly winning their division when they played Jackson State, possibly. But then last year they stunk it up. Of course, they had the administrative issues, but then they rolled the rest of the season. So now it's kind of we got to see it, FAMU.
The ball's in their court. When you think about Coach Willie Simmons, he wins a lot of games, you know what I mean? But now he's going to have to win the meaningful games, right? The big game. If Coach Willie Simmons can win the big game, we'll answer that question this year. And really, this is what I'm looking at from FAMU this year, right? If I think they're going to have a very good year, win 9+ wins again, after you beat Jackson State, you have to continue to win. You can't just beat Jackson State and go, okay, well, we beat them this year, even though we lost to Southern. You're right. You can't do that. So I think that, this year it's about, for FAMU, it's about beating the boogeyman, right? The boogeyman is Jackson State, the only team that's beat you in the SWAC, right? So if you can beat the boogeyman, okay, you beat him, but that's only going to be week 1 in the season, right? You got 11 more games to go, right? So I think FAMU, what I like from their team is you bring back Jeremy Musa, right? Since you have the best quarterback in the SWAC, you got a chance. You got a chance. Going into last year, there was questions.
Is he the best quarterback in the SWAC?
Statistically, has anybody thrown for 2,500 yards?
I mean, I get it, but I guess it's always been the I'm not gonna say it's always been. It's a healthy Andrew Body.
See, yeah, I don't play that game. I don't play that game. I don't play that game because to me though, with Andrew Body, it's about potential, right? And what we saw his freshman year too. He showed us his freshman year. He showed us. We haven't seen that though as of recent. So that's kind of why I hold against Andrew Body because we haven't seen it as of recent. But I give it to Jerry Musa because of what he's done last year, honestly. And even speaking more on FAMU, since I have them as two on my list, they have so many returners. They have a deep running back room. And a lot of people are asking about questions about their receiving core, right? And what's going to be with the Rag Boys. So I think it's going to be the Rag Boys 2.0. They just bring in a transfer, Marcus Riley, wide receiver from Bethune-Cookman. Last year, he caught for 523 yards on about 36 catches. He's the guy. And then you got John Marie Shareed you bring back, who's going to be your gadget guy and returner. You also got David Manigo. You're going to switch in Leland Wilhoit, who's a running back, but he does a lot of the pass catching for this offense. And then you also got a young Kareem Burke, who's going to be a sophomore this year. And I expect him to actually make leaps and bounds as a wide receiver after his tutelage from Xavier Smith, John Marie Shareed, and now from Marcus Riley. I think he's just going to absorb all of this stuff and find a way to put it together next year. Maybe throw together 15, 20 catches. But I think for the future, Kareem Burke is probably your future star wide receiver at FAMU.
Okay. We talked about it, and you kind of mentioned it. You know what I'm saying? FAMU is going to have to win the big game. Let's talk about the big games. Let's look at some games, notable games that kind of catch our eye. Now, before we do that, you know what? I'm jumping. We talked all about the SWAT. Let's talk about the MEAC because I do want to give them some love. Right.
Let's do it.
The MEAC is often not they're second talked about when it's talked about as a football conference. However, when it comes to the Celebration Bowl, when it comes to MEAC SWAC Challenge, the numbers don't say they number 2.
Yeah, they play a good brand of football on the East Coast. If you look at Howard and what they have on offense, I told you guys earlier, I was a little hesitant on Howard and how I was ranking them in the way too early rankings. But when you look at their offense, you kind of fall in love more and more, right? They return one of the best quarterbacks in the MEAC with Quentin Williams. I do have questions about his accuracy, but with the amount of weapons that he has on offense, it's almost like you can't go wrong. You have a starting running back 1 in Jared Hunter, who returns. You have Eden James, who's going to be your gadget running back, who caught a lot of passes, caught like a 40-yard bomb in a spring game. You got Ian Willer also at running back, who's a return guy, so he's more of a gadget guy also. On the outside, you got my wide receiver 1 in the MEAC, which is Casey Hawthorne. Casey Hawthorne's an interesting guy. This guy had 30 catches last year, but had 46 rushes. He runs the Wildcat offense for Howard, and he's the go-to guy in short yardage situations at receiver. Another guy you bring in a transfer out of Northwestern. Transfer name is Wayne Dennis, 6'4" wide receiver. He's going to play outside. He's going to replace Antoine Murray, who was out there. He's now in the professional ranks. He had a very good season. He led the MEAC in yards last year, above Shaq Davis, if I'm not mistaken. So with Howard, I'm so up on their offense, it's kind of hard to even sit back and go, well, I have a reservation because it's like you have every weapon, just about utilizing. They also have a left tackle that's probably going to be in the NFL next year. So what they have on offense is pretty crazy. Defensively, they also look good. They got Broken Burr at defensive line. It's a pretty good defensive lineman, man. You could go 3-tech and also on the edge. Then you got a nice safety back there named Kenny Gallup. Still's a box safety. Kind of might remind you like a Landon Collins. He roams the box. Dude had 90 tackles last year. A couple tackles for loss. Hasn't had an interception yet, so I look forward to seeing him in coverage some more. But what he does at safety and at linebacker in that box, he's a problem. And then so a couple more MEAC teams I have on here. Morgan State, I got questions about their quarterback. In the HBCU Nightly Spaces, they was talking about Carson Baker being the quarterback. I don't think he's going to win you a MEAC championship. I think maybe the guy, Tosh Smith, junior college transfer, might give you a chance to do that. There was another guy too, RJ, quarterback transfer last year. He didn't get much of a chance, but I really don't think Carson Baker's going to do it for you. But defensively, Morgan State is one of the best teams in the MEAC. You know what I mean? If you're used to liking those gritty MEAC defenses or South Carolina State defenses. They're going to have a pretty good defense, but also Morgan State, right? They they return who I think was the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year at the defensive line, Elijah Williams. Cat wears number 0, plays D tackle. He's a monster.
Yeah.
He's a monster. He disrupts everything. Then also on the outside, you got Karvlansky Decius, great cornerback who played opposite of Jatavian Morgan last year. And really with Decius, he's a great cover guy, and he plays well in collaboration with the rest of his defensive backs. You got another defensive back named Jordan Tolles. You probably know about him. He was a 4-star safety out of LSU. Yeah. He's putting in work for Morgan State. He's not only a box guy at Morgan State, he's also used in coverage, and he's been covering a lot of bigger tight ends, right? You kind of saw like big tight ends from like teams like Campbell, and they use them a lot in the seams. Jordan Tolles takes that away. So I like what Morgan State has. And of course, North Carolina Central is at top number 1, man. Celebration Bowl champions. I expect them to run it back, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't I think a lot of people, if we're being honest here, Central is not so much that they won it last year, it's that they're returning probably, as Josh always says, is the most the best dual threat quarterback in all of college football. But I think he's probably, his ability to, hurt you, both ways. He is truly does remind me of Jalen Hurts. He can hurt you, if you want to stop the throw, he gonna beat you on the ground. If you think you're gonna shut him down, he gonna throw it over the top. And then that defense, what we saw in the Celebration Bowl, I was just
those DBs, man. Those DBs are pretty nice, man. Khalil Baker back there, he was just a NAIS award winner last year, best defensive back in FCS. They are problems, and they're bringing back 90% of their team. That's one of the biggest issues.
Yeah,
when you look at them. Only thing I will say about North Carolina Central is going to have to be their offensive line. Coach Trey Oliver did bring up the offensive line, trying to get them to collaborate and get their chemistry together during the spring. It's going to be a question mark. You do lose Robert Mitchell, and they also lost another offensive tackle to transfer portal this past year to a Power 5 school. So offensive line can be a question when you have a great quarterback. You hate to see it, though.
Yeah. All right, man. So let's go ahead now. Let's look at some of the big games on the season. So
big ones.
Yeah. So I'll let you go first, man. What's a game? One of the games that stands out to you that's like I can't wait to see that game.
All right. Well, got a little SIAC in me. So one of my favorite games of the season has to be Fort Valley State versus Tuskegee. It's going to be in the Red Tails Classic this year.
Sir.
It's going to be on ESPNU week 1 of the season. It's going to be a high-flying affair. My favorite Division II HBCU quarterback, Kelvin Durham, is playing. Come on. And then on the opposite side, on Tuskegee, you're looking at Bryce Williams, one of the best quarterbacks, SIAC, and they got a top receiver out there. That's nice. Antonio Meeks, he gets it done. He had a couple games last year. We went for 200 plus on the air. So he's like that. I'm looking forward to seeing a high flying affair early and some great Division II football on ESPNU in September. Don't usually get that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and give you one of mine. I'm gonna stick with Tuskegee. And I'm still one of yours. But it's Tuskegee gonna be the away team in this one. September 30th, they go to Alabama A&M for Alabama A&M. That's a game. If you can be there, you need to be there.
Right. That's gonna be a hard hitting game right there.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to that game. I'm gonna go ahead and take another one. I think the next game I'm looking at that's going. It's going to tell us, and it's not so much necessarily that I think this game is just going to be just like, oh, you know what I'm saying, you got to go to this game, but it's going to tell us a lot about the season for both teams. Alabama State versus Southern, September
2nd. It's early too. Very early.
Yeah, I want to see if they can figure out, if Alabama State can figure out the quarterback situation. I went to the spring game. I was pulling for Davis. and it just didn't seem like it was there. I do think they have very manageable quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Behind Davis. Those guys, I think they can get things done. I think they can get things done on the ground. Defense is going to be lights out. They lost some big names. They lost Davis to the portal. I forget they lost somebody else, but
lost some defensive linemen.
Yeah, I think Alabama State can still win you some games this year, defensively.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing a lot about Alabama State. Is the defense might be that good to where they can carry the offense around. And like you're saying with that quarterback room, I like Nikhil Lett. I think he's the best quarterback in that room. He's only a sophomore. I think he's still in his freshman year. But it's like I'm a little confused. I don't feel like it's a quarterback competition at Alabama State where it should be. Because if you look at their record, I wouldn't be okay with doing that again, only winning one or two more games than that. No.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I can't.
It's tough.
And that one kind of hurts. Seeing Alabama State struggle like that. That one kind of hurts a little bit,
right?
Personally,
right?
But yeah, man. Right. Go ahead. What's your next game?
I got. Here we go. Hampton versus Grambling in New York. I think this is the big one right here.
Yes,
I think this is Hugh Jackson's time to showcase what he can do. I think this Hampton team is limping. They said in the HBCU Nightly Spaces, and I agree. I think Hampton's going to have a hard time winning a single game this year.
Yes.
And with that being said, Grambling does not want to have that loss on their record. They have to win this game by all means necessary. And it's going to be a big game because Showcase is going to be in New York. I'm sure he'll get a pickup on a national TV broadcast spot. So for me, this is Hugh Jackson's chance to get a dub. A lot of people like to say he loses a lot and he can't win this, he can't do that. Let's start the season off new. Let's get a win here. I think Miles Crawley can go for 200, 300 yards in this game and really show everybody what Grambling can do this season.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with Grambling.
Here we go.
Grambling at Alcorn State.
Oh. No, that's their homecoming, right?
Yeah, that's going to determine the West. That's going to that's my boy G Chop. They said big bad Braves against everybody.
That's a tough one.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. That's going to be a great game, to be honest. I think of the most talented teams. Those are two of the most talented teams in the SWAC. Period.
I kid you not. After at Alcorn's spring game and talking to G, talking to Zach from the Blue Bloods, I literally said, I was like, okay, Alcorn might be my pick. Alcorn might be my pick. And then Grambling had their spring game. And I talked with Ant went, you know what I'm saying? And Ant went to the spring game, and then Zach was there too. And I was just like, ooh, I don't know. So I think it's gonna be the winner of this one's gonna determine the West.
Right. I can see that. It's a nice mid-season matchup. Another matchup I have on here, I have North Carolina A&T and North Carolina Central. I think that's going to be a big game. I think this one might define Central season, if we're being real. Yeah. Just on the fact that if they lose that one, the next week you go travel to LA, go play UCLA. You don't want to start off 1-2, trying to bounce back on the second year of a Celebration Bowl run, right? So you want to get as many wins as possible. Play Winston-Salem early, then you play North Carolina A&T. You got to win that game. And then for A&T, that's a good win to pick up. They're going to have a hard time trying to find some wins in the CAA this year. If you could get one against Central, that's definitely something nice to have on your record.
Yeah, especially this will be big for first-year head coach Brown, as well. So it'd be big to, you know, saying that rivalry. You know, saying if you can get that rivalry win under your belt. I'll let you go again.
Right. So I got one. This is my wobbler.
Okay.
If you don't know, there in LA, we got this thing we call something a wobbler. If we like really unsure about it, we can't really call it. So it's a MEAC game. We got the Citadel at South Carolina State. I think South Carolina State got to win that game. It's like their fifth game of the season. Everything should be figured out at this point. It's right before MEAC play. I think if they don't win that game, they're showing us what type of season they're going to have in MEAC play, because the Citadel should be an easy dub for them.
I'm going with I'm sticking to MEAC as well. And it's two teams, the last two teams you mentioned. North Carolina Central, South Carolina State.
Oh,
Can State finally? I'm sorry. Can North Carolina Central finally?
Central.
Can they make this a clean sweep? Go undefeated, or is this going to be another year where they fall to South Carolina State?
Right. It was hard to watch that game last year. The ending was tough. Like I wanted to throw up, and I'm not even a Central fan. Like I was over it. That interception, the dude was wide. Oh man, it's hard to watch. But I mean, they say it's something about playing in Orangeburg, right? They say it's something about playing in Orangeburg. So they're gonna be in the nest. Hopefully, Central has a chance to run it. But I can see that's a wobbler right there.
Yeah, yeah. My next one: FAMU versus Prairie View. Yeah, so I think if it's
I like that.
Not necessarily. So we know Jackson State is going to be a big test. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Test number one. And you talked about, you know what I'm saying, they're going to have to, if you beat the boogeyman, you know what I'm saying, what you going to do next?
Right.
You got Alabama State, but you got them at home. You got Valley in Itabena, but you should not, you know what I'm saying, struggle with, you know what I'm saying, with them.
Right.
And then I'm looking, and you got, I would say Texas Southern, because I think people sleeping on Texas Southern. I think Texas Southern going to be a lot better than people think. But I think that Prairie View, I think that's going to be, because Prairie View was a play or two away from winning the West outright by themselves. So
yeah, and the thing about Prairie View, they really hold the rock. You know, we talk about time management, clock management, grinding the team down. You see how what was it? Albany State, how they gave a hard time to FAMU last year? Ground and pound. Keep it on the ground. Yeah. And now FAMU only wins the game 24-13. Now, Prairie View A&M, much better team. They're a very ground and pound team. But they're a little, I would say, creative on the offensive side, right? They're a run balance team, but they're creative with it. Caleb Johnson back there in the backfield. Trayvon Conley makes the plays that hurt. Yeah, people don't want to say it, but he makes the plays that hurt. He only going to throw the ball 10 times a game. But he going to throw like 3 or 4 touchdowns. He throws the plays that hurt. When he keeps it on the play action and throws it, the dude's wide open for a touchdown. So with Prairie View A&M, man, you really got to be careful. When you play them, it's like playing with fire. You got to just put it out real quick. You can't like just play with it and throw a little something on it. Like you got to stomp it out, throw some water on it. You just keep the water hose running. It's one of those situations because Prairie View they're a little dangerous.
Yeah. So now I will say, and I'm gonna get these two together just simply because I think the next 2 games, just simply because of what they mean, are always going to be big matchups. Magic City Classic, Bayou Classic. Both of those. It's like it don't matter the year, it don't matter the record. You can always throw them out and say, "Oh, that's going to be a big matchup."
Right. No matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many questions surrounding Alabama A&M at quarterback and Alabama State, man. So that game, luckily, it's not week 2 of the season, right? Luckily, at this point in the season, we should see decent quarterback play from both teams. And I didn't speak about it earlier, but I think Alabama A&M's quarterback, I think they may go either Quincy Casey or Cornelius Brown, recent transfer. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think A&M is a lot closer to a quarterback, solidified quarterback than Alabama State, and it's not so much that Alabama State didn't have someone, you know, saying good enough on the roster. I'm just worried if they're not going to, if politics is not going to creep in and they're not going to play the right quarterback.
Right. You would hope not. When it comes to wins and losses, man, politics should not be involved.
Yeah, but we know how it is. Then, you got that one that everybody like, you know, name wise.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was getting to the Bayou Classic now. We already know. Everybody know what we're talking about right now. But anyway, with the Bayou Classic, Grambling Southern, that's going to be a very interesting game. I think last year Grambling had that game and they lost it, but I think Grambling's much better than they are last year. So I do think this could get nasty. If Miles Crawley can stay healthy the whole season, he gets a full SWAC season under his belt. You want to watch out for him in the last game of the season. He might be he might be streaking at the right time.
Right.
So this Grambling offense, man, they have a new offense run by Coach Tony Ho. He runs a very creative offense, kind of like Prairie A&M's, with a lot of movement around the line of scrimmage and a lot of big bang plays, right? Downfield. He throws in a lot of deep posts. He'll throw in a lot of different streaks, but he takes shots in this offense, right? Along with a good running game. So it's going to be a great game. I think that one's going to be fireworks. You know, you think about Southern's offense, Coach Eric Dooley, as much as how many, I don't care how many running backs they got. Coach Eric Dooley and Southern's offense is a vertical passing offense. They want to throw 4 verticals on you every play. That's why you bring in Jalen Howard out of Prairie A&M to come run your slot. You got your 6'5" guys out there outside of X and Z. What you want from your A and your Y is to be able to at least bend past linebackers. A big 6'4" dude can't do that. But a 5'9" Jalen Howard can do that. He'll bend around those guys. He'll split safeties and really make defenses have to choose between what to do. But the only quarterback, of course, is going to be Southern's. Only question is Southern's quarterback. Excuse me.
Right. I said it last year before the Bayou class. I said if Coach Dooley come out wearing the ascot, I said Southern by 40. That man wore a bow tie, and it was a close game. Listen. I told you the secret, but nah.
Now the ascot, the drip is crazy.
Oh yeah,
Eric Dooley's drip is crazy.
Oh yeah. Man. I'm trying to think. It's one more game that's sticking out that I know I'm missing.
SWAC or MEAC?
I think it's a SWAC game. I'm missing somewhere.
I'll tell you one game I'm definitely watching. As much as we done talked about it already, it's going to be the Orange Blossom Classic, man.
Oh,
like
yeah.
every year.
Definitely.
That sets the tone. That sets the tone in the SWAC to me.
Yeah. So Tori Williams said we have no idea who quarterback's going to be. Yeah, we definitely don't. We don't. Never mind. I'll say that.
Well, get off your chest, man. I mean, you got too many choices.
I think the problem is last year we knew who the quarterback should have been for Southern, and we didn't see it till second half of the championship game. So
it's tough. It's tough, and when you get away with it,
I'm sorry, Southern fans.
When you get away with it for so long, man, it's almost like, what can you say? Because he did get you to the SWAC championship game at the end of the day, and he was better than other teams, but quite honestly, he didn't have the full package. Because to me, a vertical passing offense, Bashawn McCray can't run that offense. That's why Bashawn McCray keeps it and runs.
I'm sorry, Tori, but Tori said the whole country saw it. Yeah. So.
Right. Nah, for real, it was a little tough to watch. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this year you got great options though. This year, right? I mean, I'm not sure if Noah Bowden is the guy at quarterback. I think Zay T-Set. Zay T-Set gives you a great chance, and he's a young freshman, right? Even if he has a rocky season, you go, well, he's a freshman and he can learn from this. With other quarterbacks, you might be expecting something that you're not going to get. I think he has the highest ceiling.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. I do want to make announcements sticking in football. Former Jackson State DB Dejon Warren, he did sign a contract with the New Jersey Generals. He was cut by the Bears, but he was drafted by the New Jersey Generals of the USFL, so he did pick up that contract there.
Nice.
Then we talked a lot about FAMU. FAMU is naming the football field in the stadium, in Bragg Stadium. They're going to name the football field after legend and Pro Football Hall of Famer Ken Riley. Ken Riley, who passed away in 2020, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he is now going to have his name on the field. So it'll be Ken Riley Field in Bragg.
It's great, man. Yeah, that's great. Great for the legacy.
Yeah, they didn't stop there. The locker room is going to be named after George Godfather Thompson. And the softball field is going to be named after legendary coach Veronica Wiggins, who won 13 MEAC championships. She had, if I'm not mistaken, where was it? Because when I saw this, I was like, that's impressive. She had 12 30-plus win seasons and 2 40-plus win seasons.
I ain't gonna lie, 40 wins is crazy.
Yeah, and she
Wow.
is the winningest coach in FAMU athletic history. She had 726 wins in 29 seasons.
Yeah, they done name more just to fill out there. They named the whole athletic facility.
Yeah, but congratulations to them, to all those who have their name honored. You know, what I'm saying, forever in those different facilities. Now, I want to talk about something that's been a hot topic. We talked about it a little bit before.
Let's get to that.
EA Sports, it's in the game. So it's been reported that EA Sports is maybe facing a boycott. The College Football Player Association is said they're going to boycott the EA Sports game for 2024, citing that they were only offered $500 as compensation.
Right.
So
shame on you, NCAA. I mean, not NCAA. Shame on you, EA Sports. I'm gonna lie. I think this is an EA Sports thing.
Yeah,
because
EA Sports, yeah.
Because EA Sports. I mean, when you think about this, like, okay, how much money is EA Sports gonna make from this? That's the whole question then today, right? It's like they're only giving them $500 because they're not gonna make that much money, and we're not really sure. Well, I can tell you this: Madden sold 3 million copies last year. Last year of NCAA 12, right before 13, they sold 700,000 copies in the first 2 weeks. This game is going to make a lot of money, guys. This game is going to make a lot of money for a lot of people, except the players. Now, if players can't get royalties from a game like this and only receive $500, it's a slap in the face, quite honestly. And I'm glad the College Football Players Association spoke out against it and has something to say.
Yeah. Solutions, because I came up with a solution.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So my thought on the front side, you give the players $1,000, $750 to $1,000, right?
Okay.
You give them $750 to $1,000, but that's not all that's going to happen. You give them $750 to $1,000. The game itself does not have the players' name. It may have their image as far as like the it may have their build and some of their stats and stuff like that, but it don't have the name. It just had a number. You can even give it a random number. You know, that's how you do the game initially. Then you come out with a DLC. For those of you who aren't video gamers, that's a downloadable content. The downloadable content, the DLC, will have all the players' names, the exact look, and everything. And you put that, you sell that, let the players get a royalty from those sales. Then boom, you made all your money from the game, and now you're only splitting the profit off of the downloadable content. And the kids get royalties and continue, as long as it sells, they continue to get a check.
Hey, where there's a will, there's a way. You know what I mean? If you want to kind of give them bonuses, that definitely be a nice little sneak way. I wish EA Sports would just pay them straight up. What I would really, I mean, a real question I have about this whole pay scale is, okay, so you're going to tell me that every one of these players are going to get the same amount of money? Even the guy rated number 58, you know what I mean? And the guy rated number 98, Marvin Harrison, is making as much as this guy. The cover athlete is making as much as the third string guy on Hawaii right now. Like that doesn't make sense to me. There are a couple things that are really like red flags in this whole little negotiation process that really leads me to believe that the players are spot on right now and saying, no, we will literally boycott this whole game. Y'all gonna have to make this on 2K Sports. Yeah, you're not doing it, because what you guys are doing right now is gonna put us in a bad situation for the future. Because EA Sports, NCAA games, the reason why I stopped was because Ed O'Bannon in 2012 brought up name, image, and likeness. Now, if we came to this whole solution of we're going to bring the game back because NIL is back and we're not going to use NIL to pay these players, what was the point?
Now, the funny thing about it, EA Sports was willing to pay back then. The NCAA told them no.
Right.
So now that we're here, EA Sports, come on now.
Now
I'm
they
with
like,
yeah. And here, I'm with you. I know this game is gonna rack up. Everybody I know, I know people who are going to buy a new console just to get this game.
right.
So you know this is going to make money. Come on now.
Yeah. Now you can't be blind to the facts. I think these players aren't blind to the facts. I'm so appreciative of the fact they have a players association now. You know, we didn't have this previous to like COVID. I believe in COVID, there was like a Pac-12 player association and a couple other small
I
ones.
know Missouri tried to start one. Northwestern State
Right.
too. Not Northwestern State. Northwestern tried to
They
start.
tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's extremely needed in college football space where a lot of big money's getting moved around, and now that you have a say in it, college football player, you should have a seat at the table, and that's what the College Football Association is. So I mean, I really feel like the one of my solutions would be, make it to a pay scale type of thing. Maybe the lowest scale is $500, or maybe the highest scale is $5,000. You know what I mean? To the point where we understand that all these players going to be on this game are not equal, bro. It is what it is. They're going to be impact players on the game. They're like literally not equal to the regular players.
Yeah.
So things like that should be bonuses. We got to turn this into more of a Madden check situation and not a little $500 check. It should be based on where you are going to be ranked in the start of the game and preseason. If you're a preseason All-American, and that means that because you're a preseason All-American, you get to be an impact player on NCAA, which means that you get a $1,000 bonus. I'm much more fine with that happening than you saying, nah, everybody just give $500, man, because we can't afford it. Like, no. The guys that are playing and balling need to be paid more, need to be given bonuses, and it should be almost like closer to incentives, whereas you got your bonuses in your NFL contract, right? You go, okay, if I get to my 50 catches, if I get to 1,000 yards, I get 25,000. If I get that.
But the problem with that is because of, although NIL is legal, you cannot use NIL as a performance-based situation. So, and granted, I understand what you're saying. There just has to, I feel as though, although, you're saying what you're saying is right, pay the lowest player, maybe, the 500. You might want to consider paying the lowest player what you would pay the highest player and pay everybody or meet somewhere in the middle. So, just because there are the strings attached to trying to prevent the pay for play type deals.
Right. And I kind of meant a little more figuratively also in that. And as when as the NCAA, the video game, what they're gonna do when it comes into developing the game is all our top players are gonna be the top athlon All-Americans from each conference. The top first and second team are gonna be our impact players in NCAA this year. If everybody understands that's the precedent, then it goes, okay, I gotta be athlon All-American by the end of the season to go ahead and get this impact player status, which activates different things. So maybe it's a better hush thing than said out loud, but I think something like that at least gives the players a chance to make more money. I think guys like on the cover and stuff, you gotta get paid more for that.
I think you're absolutely right. Shout out to people in the chat. Chuck says EA is doing some underhanded things. I'm learning things listening to y'all. Yeah. And then Tori says there's a lot of athletes to pay. It is because don't think this is just going to stop at football. Basketball, EA Sports basketball was cut. The baseball game was cut. Now with Title IX, I'm pretty sure they're going to do a softball game in there. They're probably going to have the women's basketball side in there. So,
yeah. Now moving forward, it's definitely gonna be a thing because even if I'm not mistaken, 2K Sports just gained the rights for college baseball and another sport. So the same way college basketball used to be March Madness hoops, 2K5 and stuff, they're kind of trying to bring that back. So I think this NCAA move is just going to open the levees for other sports entering this situation and back into this field. We haven't seen these teams or these games in like 10 or 15 years.
Man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to it. But man, there's got to be a solution for all parties involved. Because listen, I'm not gonna beg y'all to take my money. I'm not gonna
Right.
beg, but y'all better get together.
And what do you think about HBCUs being on the game?
You have to have HBCUs in the game. Here's where it's gonna fall short. Not so much with HBCUs. When you start trying to include the FCS schools as well, and then you're going to have to do the D2 schools.
Maybe.
I mean, I know they're not going, but you got. I mean, you think about it. You got a game come out, and you ain't got, you know, saying SIC on there. I know I'm speaking from an HBCU's perspective, but it would be nice for them to have. That's something. And with today's technology, that's something. What we talked about.
DLCs.
DLC. There you go. You can add that in and go from there. I know if Red Dead Redemption had I'm listening. I can walk through a house. I can pick a different horse. I know y'all can put Tuskegee, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta on there. You can give me North Dakota State. I'm telling you, you can give me these colleges. So
right. Yeah. No, I think it'll probably for sure be a DLC type of situation. They have already said it's probably not going to be on the game. As far as FCS teams, they're probably not going to be on the game. Yeah. I would like them to be on the game. I mean, if we're just talking about which HBCUs make it, I'm not really. I'm a little impartial, right? So I don't think the whole FCS has to be on the game. I honestly don't. If you're in the top 25 this year, you get on the game, right? And that would be Jackson State, North Carolina Central. You would be on the video game along with North Dakota State and the rest of these other teams. Because to me, the FCS as a whole doesn't have that popularity that the SWAC has or that some of the Missouri Valley Conference teams have. Like the teams in the OVC, you know what I mean? Southern Illinois and stuff doesn't really have that buzz. But Jackson State, Grambling, those type of teams do. So I think maybe take the top 25, throw them in there. But I think definitely with DLC content, either they will give us rosters or the community will give us rosters to make HBCU teams.
My man Dave from PNP chimes in. He said, y'all know HBCUs are going. He meant are not. First of all, Dave, a man can dream. You get your negativity out of here. I was just playing. Appreciate it. Hey, Dave, and I he said it's not happening, no longer expecting it. And I agree, you know, but it like we said, the DLC side, you can bring, you know what I'm saying, you can bring it in. So you can find a way to
it's kind of disheartening. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little disheartening, even knowing that a big part of NCAA was like the dynasty mode. You play the seasons and you go ahead, you arrange your season how you want to play it. Not being able to play some of these HBCUs does take away from the college football playing experience and understanding how big HBCUs have been to college football the past couple of years, right? We just saw college football game day at HBCU in the middle of the season last year. Everybody knows about them right now. It would work in NCAA or the EA Sports' favor to have them on the game somehow, some way. That's why I kind of feel like the top 25 at least gives an option to throw some HBCUs into this game. And the fact that there won't be any is a little disheartening, honestly.
Yeah. What's good? My man Melanated Righteousness says, just give me the create mode. I'm dropping the hella P5 schools off GP.
Oh, yeah. Please drop the Sun Belt, drop Conference USA. Give me the swag me act, homie.
I can't drop the Sun Belt. I can't drop the Sun Belt.
What stopped you from dropping the Sun Belt?
I'll tell you after the show. I can't drop the Sun Belt though.
What is this? UL Monroe is holding you up?
Oh no, couple other schools. But man, let me do this before we get ready to get up out of here. Few miscellaneous notes. CIAA basketball tournament. They said they gonna stay put in BMO. They're gonna stay in Baltimore at least until 2026. Congratulations to Baltimore for doing the right thing by the CIAA. Definitely was well put on, and it shows because they ain't going nowhere.
Right. That's a great move. Baltimore, since they moved to Baltimore, man, it's been jumping. I got to get out there one of these times because it's ridiculous. For a Division II tournament to be jumping like that don't make no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave said he went to CIAA tournament this year. It'd be foolish to leave Baltimore. It's the same thing with the SWAC baseball in Atlanta.
Baseball at Georgia Tech, yeah.
Now I don't know about Georgia Tech. They might want to find somewhere, but definitely.
I heard y'all talking about that. I heard y'all talking about that. What? So I didn't get to the part. What other venues do you think that they should, other than minor league ballparks?
Yeah, that's going to be the situation where you got to figure out, say, is there another? Because there is a park. I just don't know logistically where it is. Because they just did the MVP, the Minority Baseball Project. Did their scouting combine at this baseball park, but I don't know the size of the park. I don't know as far as like stands and stuff. I don't know if saying how the seating is. I don't know how close it is to actual Atlanta proper. So I don't. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Best wishes to Alabama State's 4x1 relay team. They qualified for national finals. So hoping that they can go out and place top 3. That'll be dope. North Carolina A&T's Raheem Hales, he qualified for the 400-meter nationals finals as well. So hoping he can also go out there and burn things up. So and I was waiting on that. I was trying to see. Here we go. Boom. Yep. Paula Salmon qualified for the 100-meter hurdles in the women's today. So boom, there you go.
Fire.
Let's go.
A&T, they always got some runners, man. Yeah. For real.
Yeah. So definitely looking forward to hoping that these, young men and young women can get this thing, rolling and help put HBCUs on the map even more.
Yeah, take home some hardware, man. Go beat some of them cats.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Before we get up out of here, man, tell people where they can find you. I'll let you, have your, tell them about
good looking, man. And I appreciate y'all having me on, man. It's been a great experience talking about my way to early top 10. But you can find me on Twitter at Kelly Flicks with 2 S's. I'm also on Instagram at Kelly Flicks. And on YouTube, you can find us at Lace Up Podcast Network. We have HBCU Flicks that comes on Mondays. And my homegirl Simone talks about WNBA basketball on Saturdays. Tap in with us.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have to get Simone on, man. When Ant come back, man. We do a WNBA segment now. We talk about man. I like both of us.
Oh, she's in it.
Yeah, we both end up buying the league pass because we want to see the league grow, the WNBA league grow, and it's not gonna grow if you don't support. So,
right, heck yeah, my team is the Aces, homie. Hey. We like that. Elijah Wilson. Come on, Jackie Young.
Yeah. I don't know if I picked a team yet. I just like right now, I've really just been watching just to watch. It used to be whoever Candace Parker played for. It used to be that
Aces.
Yeah, I know she was with the Aces now. She was with the Sky last year.
Right.
I also like whatever team Skylar Diggins play for. I don't care what y'all say.
Oh, she said right now she's on the IR.
Yeah, I know she having a baby. So
had that baby, yeah. WNBA is super exciting, man. Yeah. Definitely, I'll pass the word on, man. We got to get her on there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday. Like that. We out. This show was presented by betonline.ag.
Bring me my money.